Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. So glad to be with us today. What we're going to talk about today is causes of fatigue and sleepiness. Why are you so tired all the time? I've been seeing patients, including my schooling years, my residency, probably about 40 years. And so many patients come in and they say, Dr. Joe, what can I take because I'm tired all the time? Well, there are several things you can take, several supplements I take. We're going to talk about them, but I want to talk about getting to the cause of your problem and not just treating the symptoms. If you're new to the show, you know I'm really big on treating the cause of healthcare problems, whether it's neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, fatigue. So we're going to talk about some of the causes and then some things you can take as well. They work really well, and most of you are going to be really happy at the end of today's show. You're going to go, wow, that's all it takes? Yeah, it's all it takes. And by the way, it's a lot cheaper than drinking coffee, which is kind of cool too. So, of course, the biggest one we have to look at is not enough sleep. It seems obvious that you're getting too little sleep, but it can negatively affect your concentration, your health. In fact, I just saw a study this morning that said it can affect how you walk. And that's a safety issue. And they talked about walking, but all movements. Driving a car, walking, you could fall downstairs. You're more likely to have injuries, more likely to have workers' comp injuries, car accidents. So fatigue is a real serious thing. It's not just, hey, I'm tired. You're affecting my health because you're affecting your health. And if you and I are driving on the same road, it can be a problem. I don't want that happening. So make sleep a priority, and you got to make it a regular schedule. And I was talking with Dr. Kat, who's several years younger than me, and she was saying too, she's one of my doctors, and she was saying that, how when she was younger, I'll partying all night, going to the clubs, and now it's like, 9 o'clock, we're getting ready for bed. That's okay. You don't have to be out partying every night your whole life. And if you do, chances are you're probably taking some stimulants, many of them illegal, that you shouldn't be taking. So it's okay to go to bed early. It's okay to get a good night's sleep. It's really kind of fun. So you want to be careful to try to ban laptops. Laptops give off blue light, and that can affect your sleep. Cell phones, of course, as you go into bed. And also there's something called electromagnetic frequencies. EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, are put out by things like your wireless, your cell phone, even clock radios. And you can get a meter. What's it called? The gross meter? Gruss? Anyway, it's a meter. You can actually get an app for it on your phone. And you can measure electromagnetic frequencies just look up electromagnetic frequency app. And you can measure how much electromagnetic frequency there is in your room, and you'd be amazed. I remember years ago when this first came out, I actually still had a clock radio. And there was an app you can get, and I just put it next to my clock radio. It just went nuts. So now what I do is I use my phone, like everybody else, as an alarm clock, put it far away on the other side of the room. As far away as you possibly can, even in another room if you can hear it, and just get it out of there. Try to shut off your Wi-Fi. You'll be amazed how many people are having trouble sleeping because their Wi-Fi is on. You can get a little timer, like for a Christmas tree. You can get them for like $8 in Walmart, and you just set it to turn on and turn off your Wi-Fi. Turn it off at whatever, 10, 11 o'clock, turn it back on at 5 or 6 o'clock. Amazing. So many people have gotten better sleep simply by shutting off their Wi-Fi. How cool is that? So there's other things we're going to talk about today, but that might be something you never even thought about. And it scares me when people fall asleep with their phone in bed with them, because that electromagnetic frequency right next to your head is not a good thing. There's a lot of studies out on it. Before COVID, it was kind of making a lot of noise. Now a lot of things have been pushed to the wayside. Hopefully it's going to start making noise again in the media. And so just start thinking about that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So what? I tell people it all the time. I did a consultation yesterday with a patient, and she said the same thing. She goes, well, I have fibroids, and I have a parathyroid issue, and I've got back pain, I've got neck pain, and what can I take to fix this? And I said, well, it's not just what you take, it's what you don't take. I say, if you've got tumors growing in your body, fibroids, you really want to cut out caffeine, and you want to cut out estrogen-containing foods like meats and dairy products, because estrogen is a growth hormone. Yeah, but what can I take? I said, well, you could take super greens, an essential source, and vitamin D, and digestive enzymes, and women's hormone support. Okay. I said, are you willing to change your diet? Well, I'm just going to take the pills and see what happens. She's not going to get the results she wants. I'll sell her the pills. I mean, it'll help a little bit, but ultimately we always want to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms. And the same thing with sleep. So sleep apnea, that's a biggie. And what that means is you briefly stop breathing throughout the night, and that wakes you up for a moment, and you may not even be aware of it, and then you drift back to sleep. My father, when he was alive, had a big belly on him, and it turns out it was a liver issue. and I was very young at the time. I don't remember it. I couldn't diagnose it then, but his liver was swollen, and so that became a big issue, and that's why he had this big gut. But the big gut was pushing up against his diaphragm, or pushing up against his stomach, which pushed up against his diaphragm, and he would actually stop breathing at night. And then he'd gasp himself back to sleep, back awake, and we would ask him the next day. He didn't remember any of it. So if you have a big gut, that could be a problem. If it's fat, well, we got to lose weight. If it's a liver issue, we got to detoxify your liver. So we always want to try to get to the cause of the problem. Now, sometimes what they'll do is they'll put you on what's called a CPAP, and it's oxygen, basically. And they're just pumping oxygen up your nose and sometimes in a whole mask. And that's supposed to help you sleep. Well, if you ever tried sleeping with a mask on that's connected to a tube, it's not the easiest thing to do. And a lot of people just give up on it after a few nights and say the heck with it. Also, the CPAP, because you're breathing in it, can get infected. You can get buildup of viruses, germs, bacteria in there. So again, it's treating the symptom, but it's not getting to the cause. So oftentimes, in fact, every case I've ever seen in 40 years now, if you have sleep apnea, your stomach is pushing up against your diaphragm. And so my team of doctors are all trained by me to gently pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm, physically move it down. And in many cases, that helps with acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, because you're not digesting your foods. But then it allows the diaphragm to start moving up and down. And that's sucking air in, blowing air out. Many times that solves the sleep apnea issue. The problem is physical, not chemical. And so often in healthcare, we try to treat things chemically, what can I take, as opposed to what can I do to solve the problem. And that's really important when it comes to healthcare. I want you to get that. You want to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms in any healthcare problem, if it's doable, of course. So if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, chances are the stomach is up against the diaphragm, and chances are, not always, but chances are we can pull the stomach away from the diaphragm and physically move the stomach away. You also want to check the fourth cervical vertebrae. That is where the nerve called the phrenic nerve comes out of the spine. Phrenic nerve controls your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is the muscle that goes up and down and pumps air in and out, kind of like a bellows. And you want to make sure that if you have a pinched nerve in your neck, it's not affecting the diaphragmatic movement. I've had that happen many times with patients after a car accident. The seatbelt holds your body in, but nothing holds your neck in. And your neck snaps back and forth in a car accident, all car accidents, even minor ones. And many times the fourth cervical, which is the center of the neck, the curve in your neck, is the one that's affected. That can affect the phrenic nerve, which can affect the diaphragmatic movement, which can affect your breathing issues, which can affect sleep apnea, which can affect your brain not getting enough oxygen, which can cause you to be tired during the day. Who would have thought that car accident that you got in 30 years ago is still lingering and can affect your sleep? It really can. And that's why so many times when it comes to healthcare, your problem is a physical issue, not a chemical issue. And I don't know of many, in fact, the only doctors I know of that address it are doctors of chiropractic. They can go in there, check the bones if they're out of place, put the bones back in place, open up the nerve supply, address the physical problem, not just the chemical. Now, in our office, we also do nutrition evaluations on every one of our patients. In fact, I was at my radio studio yesterday, and 4 different people stopped me with health questions. One of my bosses, she was flying. She wanted to know what supplements she can take to keep herself healthy. Another gal was eating donuts, and and somebody said, "Oh, you should talk to Dr. Joe about that." And so we talked about a supplement called Gymnema, which can help stabilize blood sugar and help get rid of sugar cravings. And then other people stop me all the time with questions. So it's a topic that we all have concerns of. We all have headaches. We all have neck pain. We all have back pain. We all have sleep issues. We all have digestive issues at some point. And many times there's an answer to the question, and you just don't know who to ask. Well, that's why you ask me. So if you have a health question, you could send it to us through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We have over 2,000 hours of podcasts on the website, audio and visual. So you could listen, watch. There's a little bot that pops up on the website, and it says, got a question? Or you want to chat? Send us your questions. I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you. Joe, my producer, and I were more than happy to answer your questions. We try to get back to you as quickly as possible. So if we don't get back to you instantaneously, it just means that we're not sitting at a computer monitoring the website. We will get back to you as soon as we can. That's why you put your email address in there. See how cool that is? Check your spam. Because every now and then I'll send a question and somebody will say, I sent you a question 3 days ago. You didn't get back to me. You said you're going to get back to me. And I said, check your spam folder. And their computer filtered it out. So always check your spam before you act. I had a doctor one time, and he was a good doctor, but he gave me some great advice. And, people always talk about what advice did you get in your life? And some advice, this is great advice, information without emotion. I love that advice. I'm going off topic here for a second. But information without emotion. Find out all the information before you make a decision. All of us have made snap judgments only to find out that we were wrong. And so think about that, information without emotion. How can I get all the information before I say, all right, you know what, this person is wrong, or this person didn't do what they said we're going to do. Maybe they did, and it's my fault. So always consider information without emotion. Anyway, I digress. Sleep apnea, get your stomach fixed, get the fourth cervical fixed. We have a 21-day weight loss protocol that we have. It's on the website, drjoe.com. Just type in 21-day weight loss. And it's a whole protocol for 21 days. It's supplements, it's food, it's meal planning. And just for 21 days, we kind of reboot your brain. You got to reset the brain for all the junk you're eating. And if you can do that, I think you'll be pretty blown away. And then you're able to make better decisions. Because sometimes, I used to be fat, sometimes it's really hard to make decisions because you love your donuts. And then you rationalize. Well, I'm going to go for a walk today if I eat that donut. You can't outrun your fork. Let me say that again. You can't outrun your fork. So no matter how much you work out, diet is about 80% of your nutrition protocol and your health protocol, including your weight loss protocol. 20% is exercise. So think about that next time you want to make a decision. Do the 21-day protocol. You really need to kind of reset your brain. You can make better decisions. Other reasons why you're so tired. I'm going off on tangents here today. Not getting enough fuel. And not necessarily not eating enough food, eating the wrong foods. So you want to make sure you eat a lot of fiber in your diet. Fiber takes the food and pushes it through your colon. And you get a slow release of energy throughout the day. And then at night, you don't get this big rush of energy. If you're going to eat ice cream before you go to bed, your sugar is going to spike. Sugar is fuel for the cells. We don't want to fuel the cells. We want the cells to start to calm down, kind of, power down at night. So think about what you're eating. If you eat food in the morning, it's going to have a less caloric impact on you than if you eat food at night. So if I eat 100 calories of food in the morning, it's not going to put on the same amount of weight than if I eat 100-calorie food at night. The nighttime is worse. So at night, try not to eat these big, heavy meals. I went out the other day with my friend Tim. We had Thai food. And there's a Thai food restaurant in Marietta, Georgia that I just love. And I got the ginger tofu. And they give a big bowl of rice, of course. So I ate very little of the rice. Because the vegetables, the tofu, no big deal. It's not going to really spike my blood sugar that much. But the rice certainly will. It's like eating white sugar. So try to think about what you're eating at night. And try to put those quick fuel energies, the carbohydrates, put them aside for your dinner meals. Of course, salad would be a great thing at night. One of the problems with eating things like salad or soup at night, it's a lot of water. Why is that a problem? Well, as you get older, you can't hold your urine like you used to. And so you might have to get up and pee, which can interrupt your sleep cycle, of course. So try to think about what you're eating and see how you feel. And that's such great advice. Most people never correlate with what they're eating with how they feel. On our website, drjoe.com, if you go to patient forms, I think it's under clinics and then patient forms, there's something called a diet diary. You can print this up. It's absolutely free. I have no way of knowing if you're printing it or not. And print it up and just start writing down everything you eat. Everything. If you take a piece of gum, if you take a sip of soda, write it down. It's only for you to see. And then notice how you feel. I had to do this, and I found out that caffeine gives me headaches, even a little bit. And I'd negotiate with myself. Well, if I just have a little sip of tea, if I have just a small piece of organic dark chocolate, well, that's negotiating with yourself because I still got a headache. So I realized I can't do any caffeine. I can't cheat. I get a headache. So you can find out a lot of your health issues just by simply writing down what you're eating. And you'll say, wow, every time I have artificial sweetener, I get anxious or I get a headache or I get nauseous or every time I drink alcohol, I can't sleep right. So you can write it down and figure it out, make a lot of decisions on your own. So the key here is always eat quality foods. Always eat quality foods. And that's the hardest thing I think we have in our society when it comes to eating. because it's very tempting to eat alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Very tempting. But once you understand a simple thing, ask yourself this question. Is it worth it? Is it worth eating this food if I'm going to feel horrible? If it's going to be unhealthy for me, short-term and long-term? Is it worth it? And if the answer is no, don't eat it. It's very simple. So you know the bad foods, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. If it fits into those categories, it's never worth it. It's just that simple. So you got to say, no, I wouldn't do this. Dr. Joe wouldn't eat this. I shouldn't eat it either. I had somebody joking one time, and they said, we're going to make up bracelets that said WWJD. What would Joe do? I thought, there you go. That's maybe sacrilegious. But what would Joe do? So if I won't eat it, you shouldn't eat it. It's just that simple. So think about that every time you eat. It also takes a lot of energy to digest food. In fact, if you eat a piece of meat, it takes about 6 hours to get the meat from your stomach to your small intestine. If you eat fruit, it takes about half hour, something like a cantaloupe, 20 minutes to a half hour from your stomach to your small intestine. So if you're eating cantaloupe and a steak, the steak's going to sit there for 6 hours. The cantaloupe is going to be digested in about a half hour, and eventually that sugar is going to start to ferment and rot. And when it rots, it gives off gases. So many times, if you're bloated all the time, it's your food combining. You got to get the food moving along so like foods stay together. But don't mix heavy proteins like meat with a simple, easy to digest carbohydrate like a fruit. Not a good choice. And that can cause a lot of bloating and gas. And once again, if you write down everything you eat, you'll say, okay, I went to a buffet and I had some roast beef and I had some potatoes and I had some corn on the cob and then I had some dessert. And you're wondering why you're so bloated and gassy and can't sleep and your breath stinks. It's because your food combined in a poor way. So just something to consider about that. Other things that can prevent you from getting the proper rest and feeling tired all the time. How about pain? Pain is a biggie. Most of us roll around at night. We toss and turn. Why? We start getting uncomfortable. We move to a different position. So if you have pain, what's the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain or any body pain, really? In most cases, most effective, least expensive, chiropractic care. So if you have neck pain, back pain, hip pain, leg pain, sleeping pain, come see us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. There's no reason why you should be suffering in most cases. Not all, but a major majority of our patients are thrilled when they come see us. I was talking to a fella down at the radio station, and his name is Rick, and he said, it was probably the most dramatic change I ever had in my life. The most dramatic thing I ever did was getting adjusted. Dr. Kat saw him up in our Duluth office. And he said, it was life-changing. He says, I suffered for so many years, and he's in his early 60s now. I suffered all my life. He says, and it held. I feel great now. He says, I still go back and get tune-ups. He says, but it was amazing. I wish I had done this sooner. And I hear that every single day. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us, and who's a good patient? Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, nutritional issues, pretty much overall health. You can make an appointment right online, drjoe.com. Now, we have a special running through the end of the year. Normally, the first visit is $720. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, going over the x-rays, a complete nutrition evaluation, first treatment. We've reduced that to $299. And we want to get you guys healthy through the end of the year. So if you're ready to do it, go to the website, drjoe.com. You can book it right online. You can call us. We're more than happy to get you appointments booked. We'll answer any questions. We accept almost every insurance out there. Also, car accidents. Here's the thing with car accidents. If you're in a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. That's my experience. I've never seen it any other way. You are not stronger than your car. So if the car is damaged, you absorb that impact and the transfer of energy, you are hurt. So just stop suffering. Get healthy. Get ready for the new year. Get ready for Christmas. Get ready for your birthday. Get ready for 4th of July. Whatever it is, whatever going to motivate you, just do it. Like the Oleta Adams song many years ago said, I don't care how you get here, just get here. Stop suffering needlessly. It breaks my heart when patients suffer. And all I got to do is make an appointment in most cases. drjoe.com, you can book it right online. Hopefully we'll see you very soon for that. So pain is a big issue. It keeps you from sleeping, of course. And many times you toss and turn because you just can't get comfortable. You may not come totally awake, but you are. And how do you know you're tossing and turning? Well, I mean, you could do a sleep study with cameras. Oh, your sheets all twisted. Are you getting wrapped up in your sheets at night? Are your night clothes all twisted around? Are your pillows all over the room? Those are signs that you're tossing and turning. If you're snoring, you're not getting oxygen. Many times that's sleep apnea. Many times that's the stomach pushed up against the diaphragm. So most of these things are pretty easy to fix. So I don't know why you're not coming to see us. I really don't understand it. If you are coming to see us, you're very smart. Good move. Low iron, anemia, can cause you to not get enough oxygen, which can be an issue. So if women are during childbearing years, they could be losing blood on a monthly basis. That can be an issue. Red blood cells are needed because they carry oxygen. So if you have anemia, if you have iron deficiency, taking iron supplements may not always be your best choice. And the reason is a lot of the iron supplements are very constipating. And that can cause another issue. You're not passing out waste products. That becomes a problem. It can cause bloating. It can cause cramping. It can cause bad breath, mood swings if your bowels aren't moving properly. So I suggest you do plant-based iron. Now, what's a plant-based iron? Well, anything that's green or anything that's red out there in the plant kingdom is usually going to be pretty high in iron. Darker green, darker red, the better. So strawberries, cherries, rhubarb. I know who eats rhubarb. Red beans. Anything like that, even quinoa, red quinoa, those are usually good sources of iron. Nuts are good sources of iron. And the reason I like that is all those have fiber in them, and that's going to help keep the bowels moving properly. So it's really important that you consider getting the iron in your body. Now, if you're a man, if you're through menopause, you can build up too much iron in the body. And that can be very dangerous and actually increase your risk of heart disease. So what I do is I donate blood every chance I can. Was it 9 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is? They always send me an email. Hey, come give us blood again. And I don't mind. It takes me about a half hour, 45 minutes to donate the blood. And this way I make sure that I keep my iron levels in check. Because too much iron can be more dangerous than too little iron. And so that's why as a man, if postmenopausal women too, should probably donate blood as often as they can. It's good for you. It's good for whoever receives it. The Red Cross sells it, makes a profit on you. I know they kind of laugh at that. It's like, oh, we need you to volunteer and donate blood. Oh, donating it to you, you're going to sell it. Boy, that's an easy way to harvest new products, right? Just take it out of other people. Listen, I don't care about that. I care that I'm giving somebody my blood. And whoever gets my blood, I always figure is going to score big. So I always wonder how many people out there got healthy because they got healthy blood for the first time in their lives, maybe, which is kind of cool. So things to consider. We're talking today about why are you tired all the time. If you're deficient in B12, vitamin B12, that can create something called pernicious anemia. The red blood cells are too small. And so that can become an issue as well. And if you're a vegan, it becomes a issue. I suggest that everybody takes supplements, of course, but especially if you're vegan, make sure you're getting B12 supplements because you get that from rotten meat is where it comes from, from meat that's been broken down by bacteria. I joke about rotten meat. But the minimum supplements everybody should be taking every day, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're 2 powders, minimum supplements you should take every day, and it's a great source of plant-based iron. And vitamins, minerals, nutrients. It's once you start taking it, after a couple of days, you go, oh my God, why did I not take this in the past? This stuff's amazing. So Super Greens is an essential source. They're on the website, drjoe.com. We're going to talk in a second. We're going to talk about other supplements that give you energy, things like nitric oxide, B-complex, adrenal support. That's my secret, folks. People say, Dr. Joe, how's your energy so high all the time? How's your brain working at that level all the time? Super Greens, essential source, nitric oxide, B-complex, and adrenal support, and lots of water. If you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, Atlanta area. And if you have any questions, you can send us through the website, drjoe.com. Little bot pops up. Send us your question. But all the supplements we can ship to you from the website, drjoe.com. Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I'm so glad you're with us. If you stayed with us, thank you. I appreciate that too. What we're talking about today is why are you so tired? Why are you sleepy all the time? And most importantly, what can you do to get to the cause of the problem and not just treat the symptoms? And that's really what I want you to understand. We always try to get to the cause of the problem. Now, one of the things that happened, you could have thyroid problems, hypothyroidism. Now, thyroid is a gland, it's in your throat. And it controls metabolism. It helps your body convert fuel into energy. And if the thyroid gland is underactive, metabolism slows down, and that can make you sluggish. That's that big word. What happens is with hypothyroidism, many times it becomes hyperthyroidism. The thyroid isn't getting enough nutrients, maybe a nerve supply to the thyroid, could be genetics, and the thyroid becomes hyperactive. Eventually what happens is it burns out, so to speak, and it crashes. And so those people that could eat anything they wanted when they were young and stayed thin and, oh my gosh, they have so much energy, I'm so jealous. Many times it's hyperthyroidism. The thyroid crashes and becomes hypothyroid, and that's when you start putting on the weight. I've seen people like that from high school. I remember one guy I went to high school with, super thin, high energy, athlete, and years later, he just blew up like a balloon. And I would probably suspect that it was probably hyperthyroidism converting into hypothyroidism. So what do we do for it? Well, you can always get on medication. Medication doesn't necessarily fix the problem, but here's my stand on medication. If you need it, take it. Absolutely. Don't be stupid. If the medication is there and technology is there to help you, take it. But at the same time, try to get to the cause of the problem. And that's the key, is getting to the cause of the problem. Many times the thyroid is becoming hyperactive. It's just not getting enough iodine. Iodine is needed to create thyroid hormones. And the thyroid hormones are called T1, T2, T3, and T4. The numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 4, correlate to how many molecules of iodine are in that hormone. So T1 has 1 molecule, T2 has 2. And so most people get almost no iodine in their diet. And the only source many people get is from iodized salt. Why do we iodize salt? What an odd thing. Well, years ago, they found that there were goiters, the thyroid becoming overgrown, in the Midwest. Why the Midwest? Because they weren't getting any sea vegetables. They didn't eat seafood. Now, sea vegetables are a better choice than seafood, but they weren't getting any sea vegetables, and that's where a lot of iodine comes from, is the ocean. And so they said, what if we just put iodine in the salt, everybody uses salt, that'll solve the goiter problem. And it did. It prevented goiters, but it still didn't cause the thyroid to function at optimum levels. It just wasn't as bad. And a goiter, again, is a swollen thyroid. So most people get zero thyroid in their diet. So what do we do about that? We can easily take things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, great sources of iodine because we put sea vegetables in the Super Greens and the Essential Source. So I take Super Greens and Essential Source every day. You probably should too. It's the most effective, least expensive supplement you'll ever take, in my opinion. And so I can't imagine why you're not taking it. It costs $1 a scoop, basically. I take Super Greens and Essential Source. I mix them together. I shake it up with some coconut milk or almond milk. I drink it every morning. Sometimes I'll put it in a smoothie. I can't imagine not getting your day started with Super Greens and Essential Source. It's on the website, drjoe.com. We are more than happy to ship it to you. Can we ship anywhere in the world? I think we can, because I know people listen to all over the world. Some countries we can't, but most countries we do. And we usually ship it within a day of you ordering. Unless it's a weekend, then it might be 2 days. So why are you not taking it? And if you're in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Please feel free to come by the office and pick it up. Saves the shipping cost. How cool is that? More than happy to save you guys some shipping costs. So thyroid issues, listen to the show we did on thyroid. It covers a lot more than just that. But yeah, I can't imagine why you're not taking Super Greens and Essential Source. You're silly if you're not. Caffeine overload can prevent you from sleeping properly. So what happens is you drink caffeine throughout the day to get you going. Now, the way caffeine works, it goes into the brain and it blocks up receptor sites because there's chemicals that your body releases that are released in the brain, get absorbed by the brain and calm you down. So what happens is caffeine blocks up those receptor sites. You can't absorb those chemicals that calm you down. And so you feel awake. So caffeine will stimulate what's called your peripheral nervous system and your central nervous system. But mainly what it does is it prevents you from getting tired. It doesn't really give you energy. It prevents you from getting tired. It gives you a little bit of energy. So what happens is then your body says, wait a minute, I need to get tired. So it produces more receptor sites. And so you need more coffee to block up those receptor sites. So caffeine can really mess with your brain, physically as well as chemically. It changes your brain. In the first book that I wrote, Eating Right for the Health of It, we have a chapter called Kicking the Habit. How do you get off coffee? Because it's hard sometimes. And you should buy the book, by the way. It's on the website, drjoe.com. But the secret here is that you wean yourself off. You get black coffee, organic only. Never drink anything but organic coffee, even if you do drink coffee. Organic only, take 1 tablespoon of coffee every hour. And what that'll do is it'll wean you off the coffee. Longest it's ever taken me to get somebody off coffee who wants to get off coffee is 4 days. Very simple. Okay, even if you're a real hardcore coffee drinker, 4 days you should be off your coffee. So caffeine overload, of course, is a big issue. So that's coffee, tea, chocolate, anything with caffeine in it. Energy drinks. So you want to wean yourself off slowly if you get a headache. That's usually what happens is, okay? So what do we do for energy? What do I do for energy? Number one secret is water. Got to drink a lot of fluids. But Super Green is an essential source. That alone should help with your energy. There's a supplement we have on the website called nitric oxide. It's the third most popular supplement we have, nitric oxide. Amazing amounts of energy occur when you take nitric oxide. Now, it says take 4 a day. I recommend you don't take 4 a day. I recommend you start with 1 in the morning, see how you do. Then take 2 the next day, 3 the next day, 4 the next day. Take them in the morning. If you can do 4 a day, that's great. Some people take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon to give a burst of energy in the afternoon. That's fine too. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, increases circulation to everything, your brain, your sex organs, your arms, your legs. I can't take it at night because it gives me too much energy. It also can lower your blood pressure. If you have low blood pressure, I recommend you experiment slowly with nitric oxide because it may be making your energy, it might open up the blood vessels too much and lower your blood pressure. Not a good idea. So if you have low blood pressure, experiment with nitric oxide. Most of us can take it, though, and get amazing amounts of energy from it. It really is a secret weapon. And if I have to do a lot of radio shows or TV shows or a bunch of patients, I have to travel, I'll take that nitric oxide as a little backup. I may take an extra one here and there. B vitamins, also a great source of energy. Adrenal support, Dr. Joe's adrenal support, great source of energy. And water. So my energy protocol, Super Green is an essential source, nitric oxide, B complex, and adrenal support. If you do that, and I've done it with thousands and thousands of patients, I've never had anybody not be able to come off their coffee. They feel so good, not jittery. It's not dangerous like coffee. It doesn't have pesticides in it and fungus and fungicides. And it's beneficial, medicinal, as opposed to being toxic to the body. And you get better energy, and it's probably cheaper. Buying those big fancy coffees, probably cheaper to do it this way too. So it's cheaper and better for you without any negative side effects. I wonder which direction I should go. Go that direction, folks. Other reasons why you're tired all the time. You might have a low-grade infection. So if you have a blood work done, and it's a good idea to get your blood work done periodically, you might have high white blood cells. This could be a what we call a subclinical infection. It's not showing up. Now, it could be a urinary tract infection, could be a bone infection, could be something else. And if it is, then we always want to try to find out what's causing that infection because it's not something you want to take lightly. Because if there's an infection going on in your body, you definitely want to be able to manage that. You don't want infections running rampant in your body. And usually it's very easy to manage, which is the cool part. It's not something that's really a big deal. If you find the infection, you can get to it. Now, some infections are a big deal, and you got to be careful with it. I was talking, I just read an article the other day that syphilis is on the rise. And so sometimes syphilis it can be dormant, but you can still have a low-grade infection going on there. So it's a good idea to get your blood work done, is what I'm getting at. Diabetes. Diabetes can be an issue. If you have, what happens is with type 2 diabetes, and type 1, the blood sugar goes high. The blood sugar is too high. And so that sugar eventually can get into the cells and convert into energy. So if you have diabetes, that can be a problem as well. If you have diabetes, what do? Go to our website, drjoe.com, and listen to the show we did on diabetes. It's by far one of our most popular shows on the website. And we talk about type 1, type 2, what to do about it, high-fiber diet. There's a supplement called Gymnema. Gymnema stabilizes your blood sugar, works really well. Also helps cut sugar cravings. How many of you have sugar cravings? Raise your hands. I know you do. Because sugar stimulates a part of your brain called the nucleus accumbens. Nucleus accumbens releases dopamine, and dopamine gets you high. It's the pleasure neurotransmitter, and we all like pleasure. And so what's happening is you're eating sugar to try to stimulate the dopamine, the dopamine release so that you feel good. It's free. Well, it's not free. It's cheap, and it's legal. And so with diabetes, listen to the show we did on diabetes. High fiber is really going to be a key. And another thing I want you to consider is don't eat after dark. It's a real simple rule. Now, I know it's tough when we go to standard time and it's dark at night and everything, but if you cannot eat after dark, you're really going to be doing yourself a major benefit. You'll probably lose weight. You'll feel better. You'll have more energy during the day. So it's probably a good idea as a general rule to not eat after dark if you can do it. I mean, if you live in Alaska, that might be tough. I remember going on an Alaskan cruise a while ago, and it didn't get dark till like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at night, and then it was light again, like 4 o'clock in the morning. So it doesn't count there. We talked about water earlier. Many times you're tired because you just don't have enough water. You're dehydrated. Most people don't drink enough water. And here's why. There's a part of your brain, the hypothalamus, that when you're a baby, part of the brain controls hunger, part of the brain controls thirst. So when you're an infant, you always want to drink. I want to drink, I want to drink, I want to drink. Couldn't go anywhere without sippy cups. Remember babies, putting them in a car and changing diapers and all that fun stuff? Well, they always wanted fluid. And so when you give them fluid, they were happy. But as they become toddlers, those two parts of the brain grow together. And so now you have a tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst. And this is a really common thing. So what happens is when you're hungry, you're not really hungry, you're thirsty. And so drinking fluid is going to, make you eat a lot less food. It's going to help you lose weight. It's going to give you more energy. And so a real simple thing you can do is just drink, assuming that you're thirsty. Because you are, by the way. So drink a lot more fluids. You can drink water. You can drink herbal teas. You can drink water with lemon in it. You can drink water with stevia in it. I know water can get boring sometimes. Drink your water when you take Dr. Joe's supplements. I take a big glass of water with that as well. If you're taking medications, always drink a big glass of water with the medications in most cases. But there's the big but. What if you're drinking water at night and you got to wake up to pee? And that can interrupt your sleep, which we just talked about, because we're talking about fatigue and why you're tired all the time. So what can happen is if you wake up to pee a lot at night, you want to stop drinking your fluids around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can do it yourself. You call it titrate. Stop at 5 o'clock, see if it wakes you up. Then stop at 4 o'clock the next day. Stop at 3 o'clock the next day. 3 o'clock is usually a safe number. So now if I have something, I'll have a sip of something. I'm not going to say I'm not going to drink anything after 3 o'clock. But as you get older, your bladder just ain't as strong as it used to be. And so you might want to consider something as simple as just cutting back your high fluid intake around 3 o'clock. And see what happens. The cool part about almost everything I'll ever teach you, and like I said, we have over 2,000 hours of podcasts on the website, drjoe.com. The cool part about what we do with chiropractic and nutrition and supplements and adjusting stomachs is if it doesn't work, so what? It didn't work. I'm not the first man to lie to you, but women are like, yeah, you got that right. But if I'm right, which I am, then you'll say, okay, now I get it. The physician's creed is above all, do no harm. And so when we treat you, we try to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. We try to do it at very low risk, high reward. It's good investment in your health, low risk, high reward, or anything. So if you do have a health issue, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, digestive issues, nutritional concerns, stop suffering needlessly. Be like the tens of thousands of patients that we've seen in my 40 years in practice and become a patient. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. There's a reason why we have 4 offices and I can keep 6 doctors busy all the time is because the results. In most cases, we get really good results. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. We accept almost every insurance out there. If you've ever been in a car accident, if the car was damaged, you were damaged. You need to come see us as quickly as possible. Because the insurance companies play this little game called You Weren't Hurt. And it happens to everybody. And I love this. I was talking to Jake, a financial director, and he said, a patient called up the other day, and he said the other person's insurance company said they're going to be real nice to him, and they're going to handle everything. Don't worry about it. And Jake laughed. He goes, I've been doing this job for a year now. He goes, I've never seen an insurance company be nice to somebody. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, go to our website, drjoe.com. You can make an appointment right online if you'd like to. Again, we have offices. We can get them usually within 24 hours. We can get you an appointment in one of our offices. That's easy. And like I said, we accept most insurances. But stop suffering needlessly. If you have a health issue, just come see us. There's no reason why you shouldn't be under our care. And if we can't treat you, we're going to tell you, listen, this isn't something that's going to fall within our scope of practice. Let's send you out. We have a whole referral network we've set up. Doctors, we have pharmacists, we have everybody in our referral network. So we can usually work real well to get you well and keep you well. If it's not our office, somewhere else. So drjoe.com. Normally the first visit is $720. We've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on the follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Nutrition evaluation alone is $150. So I don't know what you're waiting for. drjoe.com. Bring your friends, bring your family, and bring your children. Children, if they start out healthy, usually end up healthy. If they start out sick, they end up sick. So let's get the kids as healthy as we can too. drjoe.com. We can adjust pregnant women. We can adjust old people. We can adjust young people. Very few people we can't accept as patients. drjoe.com. Book your appointment right now. Don't waste time. Other reasons you might be tired. That's what we're talking about today. How about heart disease? You know, it's becoming increasingly difficult to finish tasks. My father had this. My father had rheumatic fever when he was young. And rheumatic fever wasn't treated properly, and he needed medicine. He had 10 kids in his family. They grew up in New Jersey, and he didn't go to the doctor. So he survived, but the infection got into his heart. And it caused the mitral valve, one of the valves in the heart, to become weak. And so he didn't know this, but I remember I was in late high school, early college, and I came home one day, and we lived in this little tiny house in New Jersey, and he was sitting at the kitchen table just gasping for air, and he was yellow. I got scared. I helped my father upstairs, a little tiny house, got him dressed. We called an ambulance. They took him to the hospital, and they pumped mucus and fluid out of his lungs, because the heart wasn't beating hard enough to pump blood through the body, and so things start to get stagnant. And I physically carried my father. I was a big kid in high school, and I just remember thinking my father might die in my arms. A horrible thing to do. So anyway, I got him to the hospital. They saved his life. They eventually did surgery on him. Deborah Hospital in New Jersey did an amazing job, put a new heart valve in him, and he lived many, many years after that. So heart disease can make you tired. Another symptom of heart disease could be lack of sexual function. For men and women, especially men. If a man isn't functioning sexually, it could be a sign that there's a circulatory issue and heart disease. So yeah, we can do things like nitric oxide. We can do things like, we're going to start doing TRT here in the office, gentle sound waves to break up a plaque in men's and women's sexual organs. But we're not doing that yet. We should do it in a few weeks. But that being said, PRP is another thing you can do. It could be a sign that there's something more going on. And that's why we always want to monitor those patients. So a plant-based diet is the best thing for heart disease. The research has been done over and over and over again. And the same results keep coming up. It works. T. Colin Campbell, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Greger, Dr. Sinatra. All these medical doctors and researchers have looked at it and said heart disease is reversible. McDougall came up with this originally. Is reversible in many cases with a plant-based diet. Why is this not being taught in every medical school, at every hospital? Why is it not on every newscast? I don't know. Look up Dr. McDougall and heart disease. Look up Dr. T. Colin Campbell and heart disease. Dr. Esselstyn and heart disease. Dr. Greger. Dr. Sinatra. It's not my research, folks. This is the research that's been done time and time and time again. And I wish my father had access to that information. And I hope you do have access to that information. Consider that. Plant-based diet, most effective thing for slowing down or reducing or eliminating heart disease. Why are you not doing it? I don't know. Could be why you're tired all the time. That's what we're talking about today. Why you're tired all the time. If you work weird shifts, that can be a problem. I knew a gal one time, and she woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning. She was a newscaster, a meteorologist. And she came home from work at 9 o'clock. Think she was tired all the time? Sure. I know many newscasters that I work with at the radio stations. Somebody's got to work the overnight shift. You think they're tired? Absolutely. You think they come to me all the time when I'm at the station? Hey, doc, what can I do? Absolutely. So working different shifts can be a big issue. So what you want to try to do is get your breakfast might be somebody else's dinner, depending on when you sleep. Try to make the room as dark as possible. Try to make the room as quiet as possible. Make the room cool. Still having sleep issues? There are things we might be able to help you with. Maybe it's acid reflux. Maybe it's a pinched nerve. Maybe it's a phrenic nerve. Maybe it's pain. So if you're doing shift work, it's a good idea to come see us as well if that becomes an issue. Food allergies can also make you tired all the time. The number one food allergen is wheat. Dairy, the number two food allergen is wheat. So if you're eating wheat and dairy products, stop it. Even if you don't have sleep issues, stop it. They're hard to digest, most people, and there's so many substitutes. There's substitutes for everything in the dairy world: butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream. There's substitutes out there, plant-based. They taste pretty good. And there's substitutes for wheat. You can do wheat-free crackers and breads and cookies and cakes and donuts and pastas. You shouldn't eat them anyway because they're loaded with sugar. But there are gluten-free options, wheat-free options, and dairy-free options as well. We can do an allergy test. We can do it in our office. It's real simple. You prick your finger, put some blood on some pads, we send it out, and we can do an allergy test for food allergens. So we can dig, and if we need to do a blood draw, we can do that as well and find out if you have food allergies. But eating more raw food is very good for allergies, which would be broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, salad. I take digestive enzymes whenever I eat a cooked meal. People come to me all the time. Dr. Joe, I'm so bloated. I'm so gassy. Oh, my gosh. Take some Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes. It's going to help you absorb the nutrients, but it's also going to help your digestion. And one of my doctors just yesterday was talking about that. They said every patient I've ever seen has some type of digestive disorder. They just don't talk about it. Yeah, digestion's a hard thing. We got to take a little square hamburger on white bread and convert it into eye tissue. That's a lot of work for the body to work on. And so digestion is a very high consumer of energy. Romance is the number one consumer of energy. Digestion is number two for humans. So you're taking a lot of energy, takes a lot of work to convert that little square hamburger into, toenails. And in that process, you're using up a lot of nutrients. That's why if you're eating a high nutrient diet, you're replacing the things that you're using. But food allergies can be a big issue. Sometimes a hiatal hernia and acid reflux, the proteins aren't being broken down. They pass into the small intestine. That can lead to allergies as well. So food allergies, many times through diet, through proper control over the digestive system, most allergies go away. Not all, most. It's kind of cool. If you have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, go to our website, drjoe.com, make us an appointment. I've done shows on it. You can go to the website, drjoe.com, listen to the shows we've done, but come see us. I've had patients. I had one lady come in years ago, and her husband said, if you can't fix me, Dr. Joe, I'm going to kill myself. Her husband, sitting in a chair next to her, said she's not kidding. You're her last hope. Please give me back my wife. She now works 8-hour days, fully functional. It's pretty cool. We get pretty good results. So if you want to become one of our patients, go to our website, drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, in the Atlanta area. We would love the opportunity to be your doctor. If you have a health question, you can send it to me through the website, drjoe.com. And this is your cover charge for today's show. Follow us on social media. We give giveaways all the time. We gave away concert tickets the other day. We're giving away event tickets. We give away supplements at Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Follow us. There's a lot of benefits to you as well. Plus, we post almost every day. You get good information. drjoe.com is the website. Social media, follow us at Dr. Joe Esposito. Make an appointment, drjoe.com. We'll see you soon.